Hey guys, so as we move forward um, into our last lesson on multi-step equations, I feel it's really important for us to kind of go over the distributive property because it's used a lot in the lesson. So if you look down here at the bottom of the page here, I've got an example of the distributive property right here, and this is a general case of it. And what it says is that if you take a number and you are going to multiply it by a sum or a difference that's inside the parentheses, so that would be this would be the number, you are taking that, or any kind of term, you take it and you multiply it by the first term, and then you multiply it by the second term. So it's called a distributive property because you distribute this term to both of the terms inside like that. So when we say distribute it, though, you're actually multiplying it by each term. So you're taking a, you're multiplying it by x. That's what this means, a times x. And then you have a positive, because there's no sign here, a positive times a negative, which gives you the negative sign right here. And then a times y is just a y, whatever it may be. So that's a general rule. If we did this with a positive in the middle, it would be the same thing, except your sign would be different. It would just be a times x plus a times y. All right, so let's look at some specific examples. So here we got 15 times the quantity 20 plus d. So we're going to distribute this 15 by multiplying it by both of the terms. So you're going to have 15 times 20 plus, and then 15 times d. So 15 times 20 is 300. All right, and so that's going to work that for us. And then 15 times d is 15d. And because this is a term, and we'll talk about combining like terms, because this is a term that has a variable with it, you cannot combine it with this term. They are not the same. You can't add them. This is a constant, and this is a monomial. All right, now, next problem. So the 6 is multiplying by both of these terms in there, so you have 6 times x, and then we have the 6 is positive, so it's a positive times a negative, so it's times a negative. 6 times 3, which is 18. So you wind up with 6x minus 18. I should show how we got that 6 times 3. All right, let's try another one. So this time, when we're doing a distributive property, we're multiplying negative 2 times the terms in there. So this would give you negative 2 times a, and then plus, and then we'll say negative 2 times 12. All right, and let's just finish that. So you have negative 2a, and then we'll just say minus, because 2 times 12 is 24, which would be the same thing as saying plus negative 24. But we're at a point now where I think we know that they're both the same thing, and we'll write it that way just because it's one less term that you have to write down. All right, same deal. We've got negative 8, which is being multiplied by w, and also being multiplied by negative 6. So you're going to have negative 8w, and then you're going to have negative 8, and then that is times negative 6. So when I simplify this, you'll go 8 times 6, 48, and then you have a negative times a negative, which gives you a positive. All right, last example. I want to show this one because there are some examples of these in the resource, and you'll run into some of these on ALEKS and other things. So another way of writing this so that it makes a little more sense is whenever you have a negative sign in front of a parentheses, think of it almost as a negative 1. Right? So that's the first way to think about it. And then you just do your distributive property on it, and so you would get negative 1x plus 5, because negative 1 times negative 5 is positive 5. And then you would just rewrite that as negative x plus 5, because you don't need to write that 1. That's not needed, right? So then another way to think about this is if we have negative x minus 5, is think of this as a sign changer. So we're going to apply this to every term in here, and it's just going to make it the opposite, because that's sort of what a negative sign means a lot of times. It means the opposite. So the opposite of x is negative x, and then the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. So whatever way you got to use to make that work for you, that's fine. I personally think of it more this way, the upper way, but if the lower way works for you, then by all means, please do that.